Yes, people, Manscaped is back, but this time it's not for below the belt grooming. Manscaped brings to you the Beard Hedger, the best product on the market when it comes to beard trimmers. The Beard Hedger is unique due to its number of gradient settings. As someone who's purchased this, I won't turn to any other beard trimmer. Check it out for yourself at manscaped.com. And don't forget to use code FTM20 to get 20% off of this product.
Morning to everybody that is listening live. Good morning, afternoon or evening to wherever you are around the world. And hello to all of you that are listening on catch up. Please make sure you do me a favor. There's so many of you in the house already, which is great to see this morning. Please make sure you hit the like button for me. Please make sure you hit subscribe. The reason I'm asking that is because it really is working. The subscriptions are going up. The likes on the videos are going up. So you guys need nagging, it seems. But at least you do listen. Big up to all of you for doing that. It means so much when you do hit the like button. It means so much when you hit subscribe, because it means that the channel is growing. We are now moving towards 30k, people. It is absolutely insane. You guys are absolutely smashing it. So please make sure you show your appreciation by hitting the like and subscribe buttons, which are free. If you would like to join as a member, you can click the join button, and then you'd pay a minimal fee towards the content of the channel. If you do want to throw any super chats in, then please feel free. Massive good morning to you, which is going to be the hottest day of the year in the UK today, going up to between 28 and 29 degrees. So please make sure that you're careful out there and you do enjoy it, of course. Morning to everybody in the chat. Morning to Emerson. Morning to Steve, James, Geordie Tune for Life. Good morning for Tony, Greeny Man, Nick. Who else have we got? Gunner Vapes, Ash, Helsinki, Up the Gunners. Love that. Will Dang, Errol, Matt, Ayo, Mustafa, Carol, good morning to you. Kyle, good morning. Who else have we got? Good morning to Mum. Good morning to Savvy. Good morning to Andrew. And good morning to Allah. Good morning to everyone else who's here that aren't in the chat room. Absolute legends, all of you. Much appreciate you all joining me so early. And I hope that you enjoy the shows. We've got a lot to talk about. Arsenal have been very, very busy. And I'm absolutely buzzing that we are finally doing something in the transfer window. We finally have some news to properly talk about instead of rumours of players that we're linked with. Well, trust me, there's enough of them as well. But we have finally signed some players. It's brilliant to actually get that news in. And I hope that this is just the start. So we're going to talk Arsenal. We're also going to talk a little bit about Chelsea. We're going to talk about Spurs. We're going to talk about United. We're going to talk about some of the other clubs in the Premier League that we haven't spoken about as much of late, such as Crystal Palace, Everton, West Ham. It's going to get very interesting, that's for sure. And we're going to touch on Europe, and then we're going to end with Arsenal, because Arsenal, there's so much news at the moment that we need to discuss, some of which is very exciting, and a crazy rumour that linked yesterday. So please stay tuned for that one. So now you've hit the like button and you've hit subscribe, you're tuned in. Let's start with this man. We all know about him very, very well. And Osimhen at the moment is having a lot of interest from not just Arsenal, because Arsenal apparently are remaining interested in Victor Osimhen. He's only 25, and the Napoli striker has said he wants to leave. Napoli have accepted he's probably going to leave, and reports in Italy are suggesting that Arsenal are still interested, but it is actually Chelsea who are the favourites. Now, Napoli would be interested in the Chelsea striker Romelu Lukaku, who's 31 years old now, and they could be interested, according to The Guardian, in a swap deal or a part exchange deal. Now, the difference between a swap deal is obviously it's a player for player. Part exchange would mean that they would be looking to sign Osimhen and they would give Lukaku plus some money. Now, there obviously is a release clause in the contract of Victor Osimhen, and Napoli would have no power if it was to be activated, but it's over 100 million euros, and Chelsea aren't looking to activate that in full. So they are looking to part exchange. Now, we all know that Lukaku is the guy that Conte absolutely loves. And Conte is now the manager, of course, of Napoli. So watch Napoli this season, because Conte in Serie A, he does some bits, trust me. And I know people think he's washed and he's finished now. He went to Spurs. Enough said. Jose Mourinho went to Spurs, 1-0, won something at Roma. If Conte wins something at Napoli, it really would be a Spursy thing, because Spurs would be the only club, I should say, that Mourinho and Conte have never won anything at. And they've gone and won something everywhere else they've been. And Mourinho will probably win something at Fenerbahce where he is now. And that will still continue. That it will only be Tottenham that they weren't able to win something at. That is just absolutely crazy, isn't it? So keep an eye out for Osimhen. I don't know that Arsenal are as keen as what reports are suggesting, because there are reports that Arsenal were looking at other players and there's other targets. So for me, I don't know that Arsenal are massively keen on this one. However, what I will say is that he is definitely available. So a lot could happen with Osimhen. I think it could be quite an interesting scenario. I think it could be something that plays out across the next couple of weeks. But Chelsea are definitely interested. That's for sure. So that could be a good signing for them. If I'm honest with you, I've not been impressed with what Chelsea have done so far. But if I'm honest, I do feel like this would be the perfect signing for Chelsea. And one that actually, if they did have him instead of Nicholas Jackson up front with Palmer and Nkunku, they might start to be building a little bit of something there. But the other players they're linked with, they're just kids, aren't they? Like, let's be real. I don't really understand what's happening there, to be honest. One player does look like he's out of Chelsea, though, is Conor Gallagher. And it looks as if Gallagher is favourites to go to Atletico Madrid, who are confident of signing the England midfielder. He's only 24 years old, but he's also attracting attention from Aston Villa and Spurs. So Villa and Spurs are definitely interested. That's coming from Football Insider. Now, I don't know if he would want to stay in England. I imagine he would, but Atletico Madrid is a team that sometimes teams, or players, should I say, are very interested in signing for. Now, Conor Gallagher and Trevor Chalobah are two players that Chelsea, I think, can rely upon and have relied upon last season. Now, they come from Cobham, both of them. They obviously love Chelsea. I don't think either of them really particularly want to leave, but it looks like Todd Bowley and crew are getting rid of the 100% profit players, and they are gutting out Chelsea's best players of Cobham. And to be fair, they've always done it. It isn't just a Todd Bowley thing. They've got rid of a lot of players. Anyone who looks to come through and you look at them and think, oh, they look pretty good, boom, they get rid of them. Very, very strange how it works at Chelsea. They don't really like to promote from within. They like to just get rid of them and go and buy other players. And they used to buy stars under Roman, and now I don't know who they buy. They just buy anybody under the age of 23 that looks like they might be half decent. Very, very strange. But listen, Conor Gallagher is a player who is a squad player and one that I thought give 110% for Chelsea. But they're moving on from him, it seems. Will Villa and Spurs swoop in? Atletico Madrid are very confident that they can sign him. Maybe Conor Gallagher does want to move to Spain. And that might be a new kind of future for him. So let's see what happens there. Another player linked with Chelsea and Spurs is Chiesa. Now, I think this would be a very risky signing. He's 26 years old, which is not a problem. But Sky in Germany, Florian Plettenberg on Twitter as well, are suggesting that Spurs want to sign the Italy forward Federico Chiesa. Now, Juventus, I think, are willing to sell him. He has had so many injury problems that it is actually quite worrying. But if he stays fit, they've got a potentially good player here, Spurs. I think this could be a very good signing for him if he stays fit. But there is absolutely no guarantee that that is going to be the case. Now, Chelsea have been interested in him as well. It's not just Spurs that are interested, but it looks like Tottenham are in the race for his signature. So that could be a really interesting scenario. Lastly, has anyone heard of this guy? No, me neither. But apparently from Genk, Mike Penders is interested, or should I say Chelsea are interested in signing him. Now, it makes no sense to me. Mike Penders is 18 years old. He's another goalkeeper that Chelsea are looking at, alongside the Villarreal 22-year-old Philip Anderson. I do not understand what is going on at Chelsea. This is another 18-year-old goalkeeper. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm no hypocrite. We've signed an 18-year-old goalkeeper as well. So it could be they're looking at their academy just like Arsenal are. But how many goalkeepers do Chelsea actually lead? I mean, wow. Arsenal and Chelsea have both got fetish for goalkeepers, I'm sure. How many goalkeepers do we actually need at the club? It's absolutely crazy. So that one looks like it's going to be a deal that one of the youngsters is going to be on his way to Chelsea. So watch this space. But moving back to Spurs, let's talk about Emerson Royal. Yesterday I mentioned that there was some rumours and interest of AC Milan, who were very interested in Emerson Royal. It seems today that Spurs are yet to reach an agreement with AC Milan to sell the 25-year-old Brazilian defender Emerson Royal. That's come from Ben Jacobs. For all of you that know him and how reliable he can be, that looks like it is not happening yet, but it is on the cards. So will Emerson Royal be an AC Milan player? It's someone they certainly would like to sign. They have still got Jed Spence, I'm sure. I'm sure Tottenham have still got Jed Spence. And I, as much as I don't want him to do well, I had a lot of faith for him. I thought that was a good signing. And with Porro being the number one, surely Jed Spence will be the backup now. But maybe they'll go in for another right back. Who knows? That one could be very interesting. Other than that, though, Tottenham just linked with players. Tottenham linked with Tony, linked with Eze, linked with Pedro Neto. Listen, if they get them, they've got some ballers. But look, I don't know. I think out of all of them, Tony's probably their best option because Ivan Toney doesn't look like he's going to Liverpool, doesn't look like he's going to United, doesn't look like he's going to Arsenal. City don't want him. Doesn't look like he'd go to Newcastle or Villa. Doesn't look like he's going to go Chelsea now. Where does it leave him? It leaves him either staying at Brentford or going to West Ham or Tottenham. I honestly believe they're the two that could go and get him now. And if I'm West Ham, I ain't paying 40 million for one of these strikers they're linked with. I'm going to go and get Tony. If I'm Tottenham, I'm just going to go and get him. I don't understand how Tony is still there. Like, for me, there's something wrong with that. Like, there's clearly some problems with his attitude that people don't like. Because that is a steal at 40, 50 million, in my opinion. He's going to guarantee you 15 goals at least a season. Maybe even more if he goes to a better club. So for me, I cannot believe. I mean, Brentford are happy. But let's be real. It's an easy deal, in my opinion, to get done. Let's move to a team that we don't always talk about on this channel, but are definitely very busy. At the moment, Everton are planning to loan out 20-year-old English centre-back Reece Welsh. That's coming from the Football Insider. And it looks as if they're going to make a signing. Jake O'Brien from Lyon looks like he could be on his way to Everton. Now, I don't know much about him, but he's a Republic of Ireland defender. He's 23 years old. He's arrived on Merseyside for a medical, and it's a £17 million move from Lyon to Everton. That's according to The Guardian. Now, I don't know much about the player. If I'm honest with you, it's very odd that you see players from Republic of Ireland over in Lyon, or over in France, should I say. But they definitely are interested in him. So for me, watch this space. Looks like this one's going to happen. Everton are busy at the moment because they're also linked with Habib Diarra, according to L'Equipe in France. Strasbourg's 20-year-old Senegalese midfielder, Habib Diarra. Everton could make an offer for him. They've had a strange old season, Strasbourg. It's a massive link, isn't it, with Chelsea. And Chelsea look like they're just loaning out most of their team that they don't want to Strasbourg. But he's definitely a player that Everton are literally looking at. They obviously want to bolster some of their midfield after losing Onana. And to be fair, Everton needs some players. I mean, under Sean Dyche, they were struggling, weren't they? You know, in terms of finances. Sean Dyche is the reason they've stayed in the Premier League, in my opinion, because their squad just wasn't up to it. But they need to start adding some quality now, Everton. They really do. So watch what happens with Everton Football Club. I think they'll still struggle this season. I really do. I think Sean Dyche's factor is keeping them up. And if they do not add quality, then Everton will continue to struggle. Now, I say that with the points deduction, it actually didn't help them. I think they would have finished about 13th or 14th if they didn't get that 10-point deduction, right? But they're still going to struggle, in my opinion, because I don't see the goals. Defensively, that's all they've got. Pickford in the back line. They need something else going forward, Everton. So could these options help? We shall see. Let's talk about Crystal Palace, shall we? Because they have made one signing. They've lost Michael Elise, but they have signed Ismaila Sarr. He was at Watford, if you remember, in the Premier League. But he has now been signed over from France. Listen, Crystal Palace, their scouting is impressive. As much as you might think, oh my God, they're losing their players. Imagine if Guehi and Eze go on top of Elise. They'll only have Adam Wharton left. I just have the faith that Dougie Friedman knows what he's doing. And Sarr coming in is actually not a great bit of scouting because we all know what Sarr's about, right? He looked very, very good when he was over in the Premier League. I honestly believe that he was a top talent. But it looks now as if they might be looking at potentially having a bit of a refresh. And one of those players potentially could be Jordan Ayew, because the Crystal Palace Ghana forward, who's now 32, is wanted by Leicester. That's reported locally at The Sun. that Leicester City are looking at Jordan Ayew. Now, they haven't really done much, Leicester City, at the moment. Obviously linked with Reece Nelson, which we'll come on to. But Leicester haven't really been that busy in the transfer window. They made a couple of signings. But Jordan Ayew is a player who's been a bit of a veteran at Crystal Palace now. At the age of 32, he seems like he's been there forever. Obviously, he had time at Swansea with his brother, Andre Ayew. But he is a player that Palace have always kind of turned to. And he's scored some key goals, really, for them in like last-minute goals and key moments of games. He's not been a bad player when you look back at his career, to be fair, at Crystal Palace. He's just not good enough, in my opinion, for anything further than that. And I think absolutely it is right that he takes a move away from Palace as a bit of a refresh. So let's see what happens with Palace. I do expect to see some movement. I don't know if Guehi's going to go. I don't know if Eze is going to go, but they certainly at the moment look like it's on the cards. So let's see what happens there. Let's talk about this player. It's a player I've always wanted at Arsenal. It's a player that's being spoken about at the moment. I don't really understand why Arsenal are not in for him still, because it looks like it's easy to get done. I'm, of course, talking about the 25-year-old Monaco midfielder, Youssouf Fofana. The French international at the moment is preferring a move to AC Milan, according to Give Me Sport, but West Ham are likely to have an approach rejected, but they are interested in him. Now, this would be a phenomenal signing and a great piece of business if West Ham would be able to get this done, but it looks like AC Milan are favourites. What I can't understand is how easy it is to get this deal done. He is so cheap. It is like 20 million, 25 million euros tops. This is crazy money for a very good player, box-to-box midfielder to a T, what Arsenal need in terms of presence, physical attributes, imposing, interceptions, back and forward, legs, athleticism, aerial ability. He's good in both boxes. I just think this would be a superb signing, and I can't believe we're not looking at it. I understand we've got other targets, which we'll come on to in a minute, but trust me, this would be a perfect signing for Arsenal. And unfortunately, it looks like AC Milan are going to get there first. It also looks like West Ham are very much interested. So, yeah, I'm kind of not sure where this one moves to. But looks like Fofana would like AC Milan, but West Ham are very interested. West Ham are also very interested in John Duran, but Aston Villa are not playing ball. They want to pay 30 million. Villa want 40 million. They're trying to meet at 32. Villa still want more than that. I don't know that this one's going to get done because I think it's taking way too long. And Villa might have to just get towards the last few weeks and say, yeah, do you know what? Let's just accept it. But it looks at the moment as though West Ham have now got their eyes on other targets. And at the moment, it looks like it is the Borussia Dortmund striker, Niklas Füllkrug, 31 years old. They see him as a potential target as their new striker. This is coming from Sky Sports News. And Borussia Dortmund and Germany frontman Niklas Füllkrug has definitely, for me anyway, raised a few eyebrows as to say, oh, where's he come from? Who's he? But apparently West Ham view him as a new striker target now. Now, is he going to leave Dortmund and go to West Ham? I would probably doubt that, if I'm honest. I really am kind of, yeah. Does anyone see this one happening, like to West Ham from Dortmund? I personally don't. I just don't think that's going to be the case. But West Ham are after him. Now, this Tim Stainton guy that Lawless keeps going on about is clearly not mucking around. And if he was to sign Füllkrug and Youssouf Fofana, and on top of that, Wan-Bissaka and Kilman, that's 4 good signings for West Ham, if I'm honest, that you look at and think, yeah, all of those could actually take them forward. So I would expect West Ham to push for Conference League this season. I really would. And I understand that, in my opinion, other than Arsenal and City, from Liverpool in 3rd all the way down to 10th, I wouldn't be able to predict it. Not at the moment. Whilst the transfer window is still early, I would have no idea where Liverpool are coming. I'd have no idea where Chelsea are at, Man United, Spurs, Villa. What are they going to be like with Champions League football? Newcastle are back 1 game a week with all their team back. They could fight for top 4. And then you've got the teams that sneak into the top 10, like West Ham and Palace and Brighton. Where do they go? This is going to be a madness, honestly. At the moment, I can only go by what business is being done in the window, but it's very difficult at the moment. Very difficult. So let's see what happens. Let's talk about Southampton. Haven't spoken about them yet. Ben Brereton Diaz. It looks as if this is going to be a signing made by Southampton. The Villarreal and Chile forward Ben Brereton Diaz, who's 25 years old only, has arrived in Southampton for his medical as he nears a move to the Premier League side. Football Insider that has come from. If you remember, from Blackburn, he was signed by Sheffield United, but went from Blackburn to Villarreal, if that makes sense. Did very, very well at Blackburn, obviously in the Championship. Was at Nottingham Forest as a youngster. Had a very good game against Arsenal, if you remember, in the FA Cup years ago. We had Wenger. We actually lost that game 4-2, and I was there. Beautiful. But he was fantastic that day. And I thought, wow, this kid, I mean, he must have been about 20 years old, 19, 20 at the time. And I thought he was an absolute superb talent and one that has gone on to do, as I thought he would, be a very good player. So this could be a real good signing for Southampton. Obviously, Shea Adams has left now, so they needed a striker. And I think this is a good signing. I really do. Scored some goals, Sheffield United, when he did go there. But I believe this would be a good signing for Southampton. So let's take a look at what Brereton Diaz can do. Sorry. Let's take a look at this player, because there are some talks and suggestions about where he's off to. Well, it looks like he's made a decision, because the Dutch midfielder, Xavi Simons, who's only 21, has decided to spend another year on loan at Leipzig. Now, PSG, despite interest from Bayern Munich, according to Sky Germany, we're just not interested with that. And he's now decided to spend another year on loan at Leipzig. Now, I do not understand why PSG don't just sell him. This will be the third year that a top talent is going to go on loan. He's been on loan at PSV. He's done well. He was on loan at Leipzig. He's done well. Now he's going on loan again at Leipzig. Why doesn't he just try to push for a move? I just don't get that. For me, it is bizarre that he wants to go on loan again and that they want to loan him out again. This should have been a good signing for a few teams. I think the Premier League, Manchester United and Arsenal were sniffing around him. I think he would have been a good signing for Arsenal because he can cover a few positions, whether it be wide, whether it be in the middle. He is a top talent, and I've got a lot of time for him. But Leipzig, I managed to keep hold of him, and they see him as a top talent. So let's see what happens. It could be very interesting. Let's move to Arsenal then, shall we? Because Arsenal have got a lot of business that they are talking about at the moment. There is massive heavy rumours. There is a lot that's been going on. But yesterday we finally heard the news that everybody wanted to hear, and it was the signing of Riccardo Calafiori, who will wear the number 33 shirt. I didn't realise this, but apparently that is the shirt number he likes. And of course, it's available at Arsenal. Let's be real, it's probably available at most clubs. I'm a little bit old school with numbers. I quite like it being the first 11 is 11, 1 to 11. And if you're outside of that, then you start from 12 onwards. I'm a little bit old school. I don't really like people picking up number 46 shirts and number 74 shirts and all that. It doesn't really do much for me. I'm a little bit old school and with my numbers. And I think squad numbers, personally, they have to fit in uniform. But some people, they like to pick their favourite numbers. They have lucky numbers or whatever it be. And it looks like Calafiori is one of those. 33, the number, in fact. I really like this signing. And I'm going to do a show on it because I was really impressed by his interview, really impressed by what he's been saying, really impressed by Mikel Arteta's interview. I think this is going to be a very good signing when we look back on it. And this is, for me, just talking about our defence, this is making it even stronger, which already is a strong defence, by the way. 29 goals conceded. And a lot of people suggesting that Arsenal might concede even less than that now, if they can keep everybody fit. Because you've got to remember that we also have Jurrien Timber that is now back, who was supposed to play in the back line as well, and can play across the back line in terms of his versatility. So this is an extremely good signing. And I've got to say it, he's a good-looking boy, isn't he? I mean, there's going to be a lot of women that will be looking at this signing thinking, yeah, I quite like Arsenal this season. That's for sure. So this signing, £42 million, I think he's going to be an excellent signing. Excellent piece of business. I do not watch Serie A every week, but I hear very, very good things. Mikel Arteta wanted this guy. So for me, this is the guy that we will be seeing at left back this season. So I think it could be a really good signing. I'm looking forward to it. Someone, however, who has gone the other way is Emil Smith-Rowe, who looks very strange in a Fulham shirt there, but I thought I'd use that picture to see if we can try and imagine it. He has gone for £34 million. It's a signing that I think had to get done. I don't think Mikel Arteta wanted to get rid of him, but I think when he saw the money and the opportunity for Smith-Rowe, it's something that has happened. Fulham have got themselves a really, really top kid, a great, great prospect, still only 23 years old. He's hardly played in the last 12 to 18 months as much as he'd like, which I think is why he's been tempted and getting itchy feet to go and find first team football elsewhere. This is a very good signing for all round. I think it's good for Fulham. They've got a top player. It's not extortionate money, but it's good money. Arsenal have accepted that money, and it's good for the player because he gets first team football. This is a signing that I think will be work all round. And I just look at him and I say thank you, Smith-Rowe, because I know he hasn't won anything at the club in terms of titles or trophies, but he was a massive prospect and one that gave me a lot of good memories at the Emirates in the last few years. So I love watching him play. He's the sort of player I like on the ball. He drives forward, he ball carries, he's got always a little bit of flair in him. He's definitely got creativity, he's got vision, he can see a pass, and he's got one of those talents and abilities that you run with the ball and he keeps the ball so close to his feet. Now, I know he's not nowhere near the likes of Messi, let's say, who did that. But when players do take the ball forward like that, it is beautiful to watch. It really is. And with a turn on the ball that Smith-Rowe has as well, you've got to say that there's a lot of people that will be gutted that he has gone. But we've got to move. And it looks now that Arsenal can move forward. There is absolutely no doubt in my mind that Arsenal are looking at other targets and will move now that Emil Smith-Rowe has gone. And the next guy we're looking at apparently is Mikel Merino. Now, there's strong reports that once Calafiori was signed and Emil Smith-Rowe was sold to Fulham, that we would go all out to sign Mikel Merino. And this week, I expect it to progress. 20 to 25 million Real Sociedad want. We can definitely afford that. Wages are not a problem. Mikel Merino plays in the 8 and is a player that Mikel Arteta admires and has followed now for a while. Now, I spoke to Tom Canton about this, who is very, very close to La Liga football. And he said when Granit Xhaka was looking to leave back in, 2-3 years ago now, even more than that, we were looking at options in midfield. And he selected him or highlighted him as someone that we definitely were interested in and that he would be interested in. So for me, if Mikel Arteta has been watching this guy for a while and he's impressed about what he sees, I think this one could be the next one that we get through the door. This is not a hard signing. This is not a difficult signing to make. This I expect to happen with Arsenal. I'm going to say it now. If people want to clip me up, that's fine. But as far as I'm concerned, Arsenal are massively interested and he is keen on the switch to the Gunners. Now, I know a lot of people think he wants Spain and Barcelona and he wants to stay there with his teammates. But for the reports and sources I'm reading, it doesn't sound like that. It sounds to me like this is a player who's happy to come over to London. So I expect this one could be the next signing at Arsenal. If you remember, he was at Dortmund, he was at Newcastle when he was very young. Didn't make it at either of those clubs, went to Spain and has been superb for Real Sociedad. And he's been a player that everyone sees as Mr. Consistent. I think he'll come in at Arsenal and he'll do a job. He will not be playing every single minute of every single game. But with injuries to Thomas Partey and Jorginho not getting any younger, we're definitely going to have games where we potentially need to play Rice in the 6, and then we're going to need another 8. And I think Mikel Merino is going to be that guy. So that's who I believe Arsenal are going to be looking at getting. I don't think we're going to be making this one difficult. I don't know why it would take long, but this is Arsenal, and sometimes it can. But if we are looking at him as the next signing, which are what reports are suggesting, I think it should be able to get done pretty quickly. So I'll be very disappointed if we do get told, oh yeah, Arsenal are in talks, and then we're still in talks 2 weeks later. For me, this is an easy deal. They want 20 to 25 million, not 100 million like Rice. Shouldn't be much negotiating. The only thing we've got to negotiate is the price of how much he wants a week. But I'm being told that personal terms aren't the issue and that they are pretty much agreed. So I think this one could move pretty quickly. And it would be a good signing. A lot of rival fans are saying, look, he's not the absolute best player in the world, but he certainly would be a good signing and a good fit for Arsenal. So let's see what happens. Okay, let's look at the next rumour, shall we? Because this one was a bit of a shock. Now, let's touch on Nico Williams first, because it will lead a nice segue into it. There are reports suggesting that he might now stay at Athletic Bilbao for one more year. Now, Barcelona are definitely interested, They want to send reps to agree personal terms with him. They want to get this done. £49 million is the release clause that they are willing to activate. However, according to Nico Williams, he's having doubts about leaving at all now. And it might be that he stays at Athletic Club for one more year. Now, Arsenal are definitely interested, along with other clubs. But it looks now that he is probably going to stay put for one more year. And he's only 22. So it's not like he's itchy feet to get out of the club and go and, win trophies before he retires. He's got a long, long way to go. But he might stay at the club for one more year now. Now, it looks like he is still set on Barcelona. It looks like he does still want Barcelona and Barcelona still want him. Arsenal are interested. We've tried to sell him the deal. It doesn't look like it's going to happen this summer. And it might be that this one is a no-go now. He might end up staying after all these reports and rumours and heavy suggestions that he might be off to either Arsenal or Barcelona, and he's got to decide which club he wants. He might actually stay for another year now, as being reported. So I think he's staying in Spain, whether that be at Barcelona or staying at his club, at Athletic Club. So what does that mean for Arsenal? Where do we go? Well, we still definitely are interested in a winger. And there are reports last night and this morning that the player that Arsenal are now linked with quite heavily is Leroy Sane. And I said to everybody, watch this space. A few weeks ago, I mentioned that I thought this could be the mystery German player. I really believed that. I thought it would be somebody of that ilk. I didn't think it would be a Jonathan Tah or a Musiala or Wirtz or even Joshua Kimmich. I thought it would be either Kimmich or this guy. Leroy Sane is a player that I would definitely take. Now, some people would say they'd prefer Williams or Eze or Neto. I can hear that. But at 28, I don't think he's a player that you look at and think, nah, he's won everything in the game. Every single season consistently for any of his clubs, he's put up at least 15 to 18 GA. He's a player that can play on both the right-hand side and the left-hand side. He totally, devastatingly destroyed our right-hand side, or should I say our left-hand side, when we played Bayern Munich. He was a quality player. And I think it would be a good signing. Now, people might say he doesn't want to come back to England. He likes it over in Germany. He got homesick last time. He was great at City, but wanted to go. I personally feel the only thing that could allow this to happen is the relationship he has with Mikel Arteta. Now, Mikel Arteta absolutely loved him at Man City, and I know that he was a big, big fan of Mikel Arteta. Wages could be a problem. He is probably going to want what Havertz is on. And Havertz, I believe, is on touching £300,000 a week. So if you had to ask me how likely this one is, I would say because of those reasons, it would be unlikely. I don't feel like there is a chance for this to happen if he wants to demand that much. He's going to have to take a bit of a pay cut here. He's going to have to go down to just over 200 instead of touching 300. Now, is that still a lot of money for a 28-year-old? Yeah, I think it probably is. The wages are mad. But I don't think the fee's going to be too much. I think Bayern Munich will probably look to play ball around about 45, 50 million here because they need to sell. They need to sell. They want to bring players in. The other thing that we could look at doing, if Vincent Kompany is set on still looking at Alexander Zinchenko, then maybe we could look at a little bit of a part exchange here. And we throw Zinchenko and 15 million in the mix. Or maybe we throw Zinchenko and 20 million in the mix. Keep your eyes on this one. That's all I'm saying. I've always suggested that we would probably go in for Leroy Sane. And now it's looking likely that Arsenal are very interested. So let's keep an eye on that one, people, because that could move. There's definitely legs in that, in my opinion. And Bayern Munich are definitely looking at selling. Now, some people don't want Sane. That's fine. There's other options out there. Eze's out there. Pedro Neto's out there. Bakayoko's gone a bit quiet, but over at PSV, he's highly rated. So there's definitely a winger or wide player that I think Arsenal will bring in if it's not Nico Williams. But Leroy Sane is the guy that people are talking about now. So I say let's keep an eye on this and watch this space because I think it could be very interesting. And if it does have legs, then Arsenal have got themselves a potentially very good player who has won everything in the game, who is the leader that we need. He's the player that's been there. He's the experienced head. He's been there and done it. And we haven't got many players at Arsenal that have. So he's definitely one to keep an eye on. Arsenal are, however, struggling to get or negotiate a transfer of the English striker Eddie Nketiah. The 25-year-old would like to go to Marseille. The French side are not meeting the Gunners' valuation. And at the moment, the Gunners' valuation is 50 million euros, which is around 42 million pounds. And Marseille are saying, I believe they want to play closer to 30 to 35, which I think would still be a good deal. I think this just needs to get done. We need to just allow this to happen so we can actually move him on and then look to replace him. Because for me, hanging on to players like this and trying to scrimp and save for £5 million is no different to trying to scrimp and save to get £5 million knocked off of a player. Let's just say if they offer 30 to 35 rising to it, let's just accept it. Because let's be real, we're still getting good money for a player that isn't that great anyway. £42 million for Eddie Nketiah is too much. I would not pay that and want my club to pay it. If I was a Fulham, a Wolves, Bournemouth, I'd be saying, nah, go and get someone better. Because there are out there. So for me, Eddie Nketiah, as much as I think he'll do well over there, we're asking for too much. We've got to knock that down a bit. We have to be realistic. We really do. And I think that we can get the job done and get the player gone. But let's be real. Like, we can't be asking for that much money. 35 million is fine, isn't it? Let's just accept that. Let's get them down to that and go, do you know what? Fair play. We've always had a good relationship with Marseille. We sell him and then we look to get somebody else in. And that somebody else looks like it could be Osimhen, but probably is more likely to be Chelsea. But the one that I think we're definitely interested in is Victor Gyökeres. Now, Victor Gyökeres, I've done a show about why I believe he'd be a good signing at Arsenal. I've done a show about why I believe his stats are impressive. I think going to Coventry and lighting the league up was something that definitely raised a few eyebrows and definitely had some ears pricked up to who the hell's Gyökeres. Then he went to Sporting Lisbon and he got 58 GA in 50 games. That is incredible. Absolutely incredible. If Ronaldo's doing that, everyone's going mad about it. Because it's Gyökeres and it's in the Portuguese league, they're not having any say on it. I think this would be a very good signing for Arsenal. And one that people might sneeze at and go, well, that doesn't mean we're going to get Isak in the following summer. Do you know what? Let's try and win the league now. Let's not worry about what Arsenal might do next summer when this summer hasn't even finished yet. Let's not worry about the players that we might need in the following window in January, in the next summer window, then the following January. What are we doing? Like, it's fine when you've got a project back in the day when we did have a project 4 years ago of, in this window we'll use these positions. The next window we'll look at these positions. And the window, this is no project anymore, guys. Get it out of your head. I know we've got used to it for 4 years, but it's done now. The project is done. There's no more process. There's no more excuses, which some of the fan base won't like. Oh, no, I don't want our process to be over. That means if we come second, we might get some stick. Yes, we might do. And we should deserve to get some stick because we are going for all of the trophies this season, which means we need to cover every position now. This is not a process. I'll give it a few more years. One day we'll beat Pep. No, we're ready now. Let's go do it. I absolutely hate when people sit there and believe we're still in a project. We're not in a process. We're not in a project. No transition period. Ready, done, win trophies now. That's the way we look at it. And Victor Gyökeres is a guy that can come in and be ready now. He's 26 years old. He's no kid. He's coming over from a league that people might look at poo-pooing. Darwin Nunez, yes, was a flop. But when you look at what he could do and has done already in England, he's got the physical attributes to be tough in this league. And I also believe, from the stats I've seen, that he knows where the hell the goal is. And that is why I'm a big fan of this signing. I think it would be a very good one. So let's see. I think we could get £84 million release clause. They're saying he might go down towards 60 to 70 million. If we can get him for between 60 and 70 million, throw some add-ons in there, this would be a very good signing. Considering we signed Havertz for £65 million, who was at Chelsea flopping. This guy's not flopping, and he could be similar money. Should Sporting Lisbon want to play ball? And should Victor Gyökeres want to start making murmurs that he wants to leave? And if Arsenal are interested, it would be a player that he would 100%, I think, want to be coming over to Arsenal. Now, call me crazy if you want. A lot of people do. Victor Gyökeres signs for Arsenal. Let's just imagine it. We have a brilliant season. We win a trophy. And we go into the summer and say, all right, Alexander Isak, you know your mate Victor Gyökeres you play for Sweden. You want to come over and play with him? You know Ødegaard used to play for Real Sociedad. Do you want to come play with him? My point is there's some players there now that Alexander Isak might actually be tempted to come and play with. Now, people might think, why would he want to go and play with him? He plays in his position. They're not going to both play together. Trust me, you need a squad. And if we was to get rid of Jesus in the following season, let's say Jesus doesn't have the best of seasons. He goes to Saudi Arabia. We then have Isak as our number 9 and Gyökeres as our backup. That, for me, is what title-winning sides are all about. Building and building and building upon building. Because that's what you've got to do. We did not win the league and go invincible by playing the same 11 players. We had Kanu, we had Wiltord, we had Jose Antonio Reyes, bless him. We had Robin van Persie, Fabregas that were part of an invincible squad. We had Edu, Ray Parler, we had Pascal Sigan, if you remember, Martin Keown, we had Gal Clichy. All these players might have been sitting there going, how am I going to get in this team? Or Reyes might have thought, why am I going to sign for Arsenal when they've got Thierry Henry and Robert Pires? But they didn't, because we were a title-winning side. Once you start showing you can win trophies, players will want to come to you. They won't sit there and go, oh, I don't think I'm going to get in this team. They'll say, I'm good enough to get in there. I'm good enough to break in. I'm good enough to go and get, first team place here. So for me, that's what I'll be doing. Going to try and build and build and build. Geordie Toon for life. I love you, man. You know I love Isak. I don't want all your players. I just want Isak. And I'll take Bruno as well, actually. But I'm a big, big fan of Alexander Isak. He, for me, is the one that we got away from us. We were looking at him and we kept Eddie. Make it make sense. Embarrassing. One player who has said goodbye to Arsenal is, of course, Chido Obi Martin. He has now left the club. The 16-year-old is a player who I think will go on to have a potentially good future. Now, I've said that before with players, and they haven't. I've said that before with players, and they have. And some of those players, luckily, have stayed at Arsenal when I've believed that they would have good careers, i.e. Bukayo Saka, Jack Wilshere, those kind of players. This kid is going to be a special talent. He's no longer got a club. He's left because he was asking for way too much money between you and I. Arsenal have got a principle that says, no, we don't give scholarships more wages than our first team, but he was asking for ridiculous amount of money for a 16-year-old kid, up to around £60,000, which is just a joke from what if you can get on board with that. And Arsenal don't do that. So he's now gone. And it looks as though there's potential for this kid to have a good career. Now, Manchester United are definitely interested in him, by the way. Manchester United are very much interested. He's already been shown around their grounds, but he's also been shown around a few clubs. He's looked at potentially Chelsea, not Chelsea, over in Germany. So that one could be very interesting. We do have some breaking news, though. It does not involve Arsenal. It does involve Chelsea. And it is the Ornacle, as people call him, David Ornstein. This is literally broke a few minutes ago, 8 minutes ago to be exact. Napoli in ongoing talks with Chelsea to sign Lukaku, while discussions between Napoli and Chelsea are also taking place about a move for Osimhen in the opposite direction. Lukaku would be permanent, Osimhen a season-long loan and a buy option. Wow, that is very interesting. I thought Napoli would have held out for some money, but a loan with an option to buy. That is a brilliant deal for Chelsea. Brilliant deal. Hold on a minute. Let me make this make sense. So Napoli are happy to get Lukaku in return and do a straight swap here by loaning Osimhen to them and saying, if you want to buy him, let us know. Is that me, or is that an unbelievable deal from Chelsea? That is crazy if that's true. So they're happy to say, try before you buy, as long as you give us Lukaku. Who would you rather have, Lukaku or Osimhen? That is absolutely mad if that's true. I mean, it must be. The Oracle doesn't put out stuff like that if it doesn't mean it's true. That is absolutely insane. So they're not even paying any money here. Chelsea are basically getting a try before you buy for Osimhen and saying, if you do want him, let us know. They're basically getting Osimhen on a loan. What is going on there? I mean, real talk. If he's available on loan, we've got to be in for that, surely. Or maybe Arsenal say, look, don't loan him. We'll pay you 50 million for him. What is happening here? That is absolutely crazy. That is a ridiculously good move for Chelsea. I mean, they're getting a goal scorer here. And Lukaku is a bit of a bum, let's be honest. He's going over to Napoli because his mate Conte's there. That is incredible. What an unbelievable signing that will be for Chelsea. That would be ridiculously good move. I can't actually believe that's the case. I was really shocked when I saw that. I saw in the chat that he put out some news. David Ornstein. They're in talks with Chelsea to sign Lukaku. I've got to read this again. While discussions between Napoli and Chelsea are taking place about a move for Osimhen in the opposite direction, Lukaku's going to be a permanent signing, but Osimhen's going to be a season-long loan and an option to buy. Oh my God. That is absolutely crazy. Okay, I'm not stunned he's going to Chelsea. I'm stunned he's going for Chelsea on loan without no money, just wages. I thought he was going to go PSG, I have to say. I thought he was going to go and be the Mbappe replacement over there. But because Lukaku's at Chelsea, believe it or not, this is how lucky Chelsea are. Chelsea might be able to swap Lukaku with Osimhen. I'll be serious here. Is anyone else stunned by that? That has absolutely stumped me today. That is something I cannot get over. I am so amazed that that is the case. That is just an absolutely crazy, crazy thing. Don't get it. Don't get it. That's a way to end it, isn't it? Osimhen looks like he's on his way to Chelsea on a season-long loan with an option to buy. Lukaku going in the other direction permanently. That is absolutely crazy. It really is. But there we go. That looks like that's playing. That's going to be into play. Wow. I cannot believe that. That has really stunned me. Osimhen on a season-long loan. That is mad. There's got to be massive wages and loan fees involved in that. I mean, that is ridiculous. Absolutely crazy. But there we go. Conte clearly wants Lukaku. Napoli are happy with that. Napoli have got their guy, as in Conte. And it looks like Chelsea are going to get theirs. That is a really good signing for Chelsea. That's one that you can actually look at and think that makes sense. That's a player who can bang in goals. That's a player who I think will do well in the Premier League. And that is a good signing. So let's see if anyone else reacts to that. It looks like Chelsea are going to be clear favourites there now because obviously they've got Lukaku and that's what people want in Napoli, and that is Lukaku. So very, very interesting. Listen, people, we're going to be back with a couple of shows later. I'm going to talk about the Calafiori deal in a little bit more detail a little bit later. Going to talk about his first interview. Going to talk about Arteta's interview. Some very, very interesting stuff in there, which I want to divulge into. There's also going to be a show later tonight at 8 p.m. where I've got some Arsenal panelists coming on and some great ones. You are going to know them all. They're going to be a great, great laugh tonight. So that is going to be a very good show. So please make sure that you tune in for that one at 8 o'clock this evening. I've got Alex and Forder on football who I've seen in the chat. I've got Igal coming on. We've got Premsy coming on. I think we've got Kenny Kennin back in the house. And Gunnar Lee looks like he might be coming on as well. So we've got amazing guest panelists tonight. Absolutely lit that one will be. And it is just on Arsenal. So we're going to talk about all things in relation to that. Rumours and whatever happens later on this today. You know, we're in a situation now where stuff is starting to move forward that we need to talk about. So that's what we are going to do. Make sure you do me a favour. Make sure you hit the like button, people. A lot of you have done so already, but not enough of you. There's only 163 likes. Let's get that up to 200, please, people. We need to make sure that we're hitting the like and the subscribe button, because the subscribe button, you are listening, and now we are starting to get more subscribers. So we are creeping towards 30k. Let's make sure that you get yourself involved in that by hitting the like and the subscribe button. And make sure you click on the pinned comments and get yourself the beard trimmers. The beard hedger is 20% off. Make sure you click the link, though. It will take 20% off automatically if you do that. And please make sure that you are here at 8 p.m. this evening, where you will see the Arsenal panel talking all things Arsenal. We'll see you next time. Take it easy. And as always, up the Arsenal.
Yes, people, Manscaped is back. But this time, it's not for below-the-belt grooming. Manscaped brings to you the Beard Hedger, the best product on the market when it comes to beard trimmers. The Beard Hedger is unique due to its number of radiant sayings. As someone who's purchased this, I won't turn to any other beard trimmer. Check it out for yourself at manscaped.com. And don't forget to use code FTM20 to get 20% off of this product.